Hey, what's going on, guys? So it's been about a year since I picked up the SP-404MKII. I got it last December, and it's December now. So I thought I'd just do a little 1 year review, kind of thoughts and feelings about the device, my trusty little 404MKII. I use it for both performance and production. If you ever see me at a show, you'll see me with the SP-404MKII a lot of times. With this guy, the OG 404, I use it a lot of times to arrange my drums. And then I'll kind of shoot that over to the Ableton and maybe shoot it back for performance. As far as producing, it still has a large part in my studio. I'll start off talking about the sequencer, because when I first got the device, it was like the first big thing I noticed was definitely a change from the older models. I had a SP-404SX for like 8 years maybe before I got this model, and kind of my flow on the SX was more rudimentary. I would just kind of improvise drum loops by ear, not even with the metronome, and kind of take whatever BPM it read me that loop was and feed that into the pattern sequencer. So I was kind of working backwards within, the kind of limited capabilities that the older machines had. But this guy really wants you to play by the rules isn't really the right. It wants you to play by the rules. It wants you to go into pattern sequencer, press record, listen to the metronome, and kind of play along to that, which at first I was like, I don't know. I don't want to play by the rules. But now, given all it could do within the sequencer, it's a game changer. I wouldn't go back if I wanted to. Some of my favorite features about the sequencer are the ability to chain your sequences. So you have an entire intro sequence, and then you have your chorus sequence, and then you have whatever, a verse sequence, and you can bust that. So hit that twice and then hit that twice, and it'll automatically change through your different sequences without you having, so you could focus more on your live effects or whatever. The ability to duplicate patterns is really, a great feature. The rehearsal mode within pattern sequencer, so you don't have to kind of commit to laying down your notes. You can kind of play along to the pattern as it goes, is really nice. I love it. And kind of as I mentioned before, the stem exporter is a huge game changer to me. I will build a pattern, usually drum loop or whatever, within pattern sequencer, and then export those stems. I'll bring it into Ableton, do much more complicated kind of EQing and compression or this or that, bring my drum loop back into the 404, and then I have a much beefier kind of, sound to work with. But my favorite feature about the new sequencer is the undo button. I love it. You could just work on building a pattern. You can, without fear, just add and experiment. And if you don't like the sound, you could hit undo. I love the little visualization it gives you for kind of your undo steps. It gives you something like 16, I think, 20, maybe 20 undo steps. And other than the undo button, probably my favorite feature in the whole device is the bus effects, the ability to bus different effects. So a lot of the time I'll put my drum section in one bus, and I'll put all my other rhythm or melodic stuff in another bus, so I can affect them separately, which really comes in handy. You'll see it in a lot of my production videos that I use with the 404. I will always be separating my drums from my melodics. When it comes to recording in, I'll use this for muting certain sections, which really adds a lot of breath kind of to the beat. And as well as these two buses, you also have in the FX setting bus 3 and bus 4 that you can use kind of as a master chain. So typically you'll put maybe an equalizer or a little bit of compression. The 303 compressor is really nice to put on your master or your bus 3 and 4, which serve as your master chain. And having a little bit of compression on your master chain is really helpful for when you're performing. It'll kind of glue transitions from one song into another instead of getting really quiet in the middle. It'll boost everything up a little bit. And especially during the next section, DJ mode. Earlier this year, I was asked to DJ an event for the first time. I had never DJed before, so I thought it was a great opportunity to kind of teach myself the DJ mode in the 404. It was not too hard. It was pretty easy. It's pretty accessible. Like, I've never done traditional DJing, with vinyl or whatever. I thought this was very easy comparatively. From my understanding, this is very easy. I just set all the cues of my tracks beforehand. I had like 100 tracks on here because the event was like 3 or 4 hours. I have another video that goes much more into detail about the DJ mode, so you could check that out. When I'm not in DJ mode, like whenever I'm playing a show, a typical beatmaker show, I will just be in normal sample modes, just the basic mode. So I load a track on each pad. The increased polyphony limit on the SP-404MKII compared to the other models really allows me for more room to kind of, I'll play a track and it'll have notes without having to worry about the track being cut off due to sample or stereo limits. In the older model like the SX, I would try to do that during shows, but I would run risk of actually turning off the track that's playing with too many samples. It would just kind of automatically turn it off. So yeah, I really like the increased polyphony limit. Like I said, I'll try to usually add live elements to my tracks, which is really cool. I will take the track that it's supposed to be added to, and I will rename it on the device to, like, the name of this one says Bank D, all of them. So I know that when I go to Bank D, that's what I want, those notes. Just the ability to rename your tracks on here is pretty cool. So you could give yourself little hints like that for your live performance. Like, oh, on this track, remember to blah, blah, blah. So just go into remain and rename it. Just another thing I like about the device is the ability you can connect, instead of the power cord, you can connect just a power bank as long as you're using a USB-C to USB-C cable. Any power bank, I think, will work. Which is really great for portableness. Just the overall portability of the device is amazing. I know this is kind of the go-to shape for most samplers these days, just the kind of rectangle, but it's a classic. It's a classic for a reason. The last little section I want to get into is effects. I kind of kept it for the last because, they're SP-404 effects. They're classic. They're good. They're really good on the machine. But as far as like relative to other devices, other 404s, it's kind of the same. For someone who's never had a 404, you'll be, oh my gosh, these effects. But as far as the other models, it's not entirely a game changer in my opinion. The effects, they're really good, but the new model's ability to kind of arrange, you can arrange a beat very specifically in the new model with all the undo button and all these bust effects. I think that the arrangement capabilities kind of overshine its resampling abilities, which is really kind of the main feature of almost all the other 404 models, is that you can resample with these effects and resample. It's unlimited. But yeah, just kind of my feeling is that the ability to arrange so well, like I can make a whole beat tape, just sit down, make a beat tape. I think that outshines almost its ability to its effects, kind of its sound. I think the more mechanical aspects of the model are kind of what draw me to it, as opposed to other models right now, if any of that makes sense. And there is still a lot that I'm yet to learn about the device. I still haven't gotten into the live looper. I've barely gotten into chromatic mode. And what is the new one? I think there is a wave generator. I'm still yet to check out. Lots of new features. They're still adding stuff. The fact that they can update it, it's the only model that does that. It's pretty crazy. With all of that being said, I would absolutely say that the MK2 is the model that I would recommend to anyone who's looking at the 404s. The SX is still a classic. The 404 MK2 is a workhorse. It'll do everything. Yeah, the other models will always have a place in my heart, but yeah, this is the superior machine, I believe. If you have any questions or comments, or you just like to talk shop, definitely hit me up in the comments. I'm always down. I love I love this kind of thing. I'm down to talk about it all the time. It's what drives me. Yeah, I appreciate you for checking it out and for listening. And I don't usually do this on my YouTube channel, but while I have you here, I'm going to take the opportunity to kind of plug my zines. I make a bunch of collage art that I make into zine, like mini magazines, and you can subscribe to these on my Patreon. I'll link that below. It's just patreon.com/tapesim, TAPESIM. If you subscribe, I'll send you I come out with 2 issues of the zine every month, as well as I will send an actual one piece of artwork that ends up being one of the pages of the zines. So you'll be able to hang this up or whatever. It is the real deal. So again, thank you and peace out.